Hi Aquarius, welcome to your November 2020 Astro Update. It's Raina here. So the big news in November is that we have two personal planets going direct. Mercury goes direct on the 3rd at 25 degrees of Libra, which is a sister air sign to you, and which rules your ninth house of foreign travel, expansion of the mind, the abstract knowledge that is connected to higher institutions of learning such as universities. And what else? This is the house of religion and things like that. So it began in the sign of Scorpio, which is the 10th house, and that's your career sector, and went back into the ninth house. So there's the ninth house is the house of philosophy. So there's a possibility that, let's say, and I'm not claiming that this is going to be your scenario, but just to give an example. Let's say you had a misunderstanding or falling out with, when I say falling out, due to a misunderstanding or being in different mindsets with a superior or an authority figure. And that could be for any reason, salary negotiations, or simply wanting to, maybe a certain project you're working on, having a disagreement on that. It doesn't have to be conflict. It can be more of just some kind of snafu that occurred that complicated your life. And when Mercury goes back into the ninth house, you may start to question the meaning of it all and saying, is this what I really want to do for the rest of my life? Am I aligned with this? Is this why I had this problem in the first place? Because I'm ready to move on. Because it's sometimes when we have some sort of, maybe it's, consistent difficulties that crop up all of a sudden, that we start to question whether we belong in that field, in that particular company, what have you. So that could be something that is going to start to be resolved around the 3rd. Now, the Mars retrograde began in September, and Mars goes direct on November, stations direct at 15 degrees of Aries on November 13th. So as we begin the month, and for almost half of the month, Mars is retrograding in Aries, which for you is the 3rd house of communication. Now, if you have a career in the media, in teaching, this could be some kind of connection with Mercury going retrograde in your 10th house. So perhaps you have had some kind of falling out with people if you work in an elementary school, for instance, and there's the reason, and so because Mars can be like some kind of a conflict, and the 3rd house can be areas that are connected to lower levels of learning, such as elementary school, or if you're a tutor or something like that. It could be like somebody who is not being able to work at their regular teaching job is doing a lot of tutoring. And that might be that Mars energy is like kind of going to get like more and more clients and a lot more activity in this direction. Maybe you were doing it just like here and there, and now because of the shutdown, there's a greater demand for one-on-one or small group tutoring or something like that. Or you are trying to get some kind of a training for whatever, because you realize that your profession is not what it's cut out to be, or that you've outgrown it, whatever it means to you, or you're just not suited for it anymore. The other thing is that the 3rd house can be siblings. It can also be extended family members, such as aunts and uncles and cousins, and it can be neighbors. So any kind of conflicts with any of these people, or if it has to do with you're getting more active with them for some reason. So on the 10th, Mercury goes direct at, I don't have the exact degree. I'm sorry. On the 10th, Mercury goes back into Scorpio. And so this is the house where it all started. And this is the 10th house. So you might start to see career developments after the 10th. A few days after that, Mars stations direct at 15 degrees of Aries. Like I said, this is in your 3rd house. So there's more, when Mars was retrograde, there might have been more of you having to kind of keep your anger at bay, feeling frustrated and wanting to do something. It's not like, I guess I was giving this impression that it would be overt. And actually, it might have been more covert, that you were feeling frustrated. Like, for instance, maybe you had some kind of a conflict with a neighbor and they just said, screw you. They kept doing whatever it is that you didn't want them to do. And you were kind of sitting on your anger. Typically because Aries people can be very rebellious, but they're not into drama. So you may have felt like, I don't really want to get ugly here. I want to get along with everybody and my neighbor. And you just kind of swallowed your anger. Mars is direct, and you may feel like you want to express it again, but you can be an alchemist and you can transmute it in a certain way. Sometimes, I just want to say this very briefly, that sometimes when we are aggravated by something or someone, we come across in a way that is overly aggressive, even if we're not yelling, where we're really like, our voice is suggesting how fed up we are. And that other person interprets it to mean that they're not okay. And so they dig in their heels. And this is where an impasse forms. So if you can, maybe in some cases it's be the bigger person. It's not about apologizing if you feel like you did not do anything wrong. It's okay to ask for our needs, but simply letting that other person know that you're not, that you don't hate them, that you're not going to just like give them the cold shoulder, then they might soften, and you never know. If they're still persisting in doing something that you don't like, they may stop. But sometimes people get very stubborn when they feel like their sense of self-esteem is being threatened. So on the 15th, there's a new moon at 23 degrees of Scorpio. That's your career sector. So maybe you do have a talk when Mercury goes direct with your supervisor, and it irons things out, and you get that promotion, or you get that recommendation for a job in the same company, or perhaps it's another company that you're looking for a recommendation from your boss, and you're going overseas. So the 9th house can be that foreign travel where Mercury went direct. So that might be something to do with getting a passport. I mean, that could even be, Mercury retrograding in the 9th house can be some kind of document that has to do with travel that is not on point. On the 21st, we have 2 important transits. Venus goes into that 10th house in Scorpio. And on the same day, the sun goes into Sag. And Venus being in that 10th house, that could be more money. Maybe you are getting a raise. Harmony with higher ups. Popularity from the public. People finding you irresistible, charismatic, just attracting, good vibes. On that same day, the 21st, the sun goes into Sagittarius, which is a friendly sign angle to you. So that is the 11th house of hopes and wishes, which you happen to rule. So not only is that great for just what it represents in terms of maybe accomplishing some long-held goals, but also it's your house. So it's like almost like a solar return in a sense. You feel very much like yourself, Like you can express yourself as yourself with the sun in the 11th house, in the house that you rule. Neptune goes direct on the 28th at 22 degrees of Pisces. This is your second house of earned income. So here's another clue. We have Venus going into the 10th house. We have Neptune going direct in your money house, the second house, Pisces, and it retrograded back in June. Something may have become unclear with your finances, and maybe this has to do with salary negotiation. Maybe you were told something, and there might have even been deceptive, that was not entirely true about what you were supposed to be earning, or if you had just started at that job, they told you were going to get X, and it was like a bait and switch. And so this may have been something for several, when Mercury went retrograde back in June, you may have been disillusioned by something connected to your earning potential. Perhaps your hours were cut and they were promised that they wouldn't be, and you were left, or I would say, especially if you work in sales and, it's commission based, or you get some kind of bonus, or, maybe corporate jobs where you get bonuses and then they cut the bonus, or they just either cut it out, or they gave less than they said they were going to give, and they gave some reason. So now that it's direct, it's more in the, I was going to say, now you can go back to your happy delusions. But Neptune has been in this house for years, so there might be a greater likelihood that your finances are not as organized as they have been in the past. So whether when Neptune went retrograde, there might have been a nasty surprise. Hopefully, if so, you've been able to rectify that. On the 30th, we have a lunar eclipse at 8 degrees of Gemini, and this is a sister air sign as well. And this is going to be in the 5th house of love and creativity. So for those artistic Aquarians, this can be a kind of almost, what popped into my mind is love at first sight. I don't know if that's entirely accurate. I would say more like a realization about somebody in your life that's already currently in your life that is partner material. The 5th house is not about partnership. It's, I should say, love material. And so it might be that with your thick skull, that you were not really understanding this. And obviously I'm joking. Aquarius is a very intelligent sign and intuitive. What I really mean is that because you are, as a sign, not talking about other influences, as a sign, very detached and loving freedom, you tend to treat love, what's the term? Not love objects, I don't like that, but potential love interests as friends. That to you is more important than some kind of heavy-handed, romantic courting situation. You would rather be intelligent, very intellectually connected to that person, humane, meaning that each of you is treating the other very respectfully, but also embracing their ultimate potential, not just kind of pigeonholing them and saying, this is what you are capable of in your own life or with me. So really like how we view friendship and being kind of like granting freedom, like, you don't have to always check in with me and I don't have to always check in with you. We can do our own thing. And so that can lead to not really being that plugged in sometimes to when someone has a important role in your life beyond friendship. because to you, friendships are very important and you try to cultivate them. But, a one-on-one romantic partnership is significant. That's why we say a significant other. And this may be something when you realize, duh, this person is really who I'm meant to be with. And I was like, I thought it was going to be this other type of person. It's really, this is the type of person who is my friend, who I need to be with. And usually in those cases, it's because the person has a certain physical ideal or qualifications that they think that they have to have. Something that's more superficial that they're always like hung up on. And this is like realizing, no, this person is right for me. So anyway, I hope that resonated. And if you would like a personal astrological reading or a tarot reading, you can click on the link below. And thank you for listening. Take care. Bye.